I don't exactly remember when it began, but I started to have nightmares. I was lying on the bed in my room. I heard someone sniffing around. When I opened my eyes, I saw a strange man sniffing my body. I tried to scream but failed. I lost my voice. The man put disposable gloves on both his hands. Then, he grasped my body and started to gnaw off my flesh. I felt unimaginable pain being eaten up alive, and it continued until I was literally stripped to the bone. Then, I woke up screaming hysterically. One day, my mom took me to the hospital, but the doctor said I was totally fine. He said too much stress could cause such nightmares. A few days later, I started to have the same nightmares again. This time, however, I stiffened up my whole body when the man was about to gnaw off my flesh like before. Then he said, "Hey, relax," tapping my body. I kept the body stiff and tense, and he kept failing to gnaw off my flesh. Then, he just had gone, saying like too hard. I sighed in relief, but the nightmare had continued again and again. Every night, different men appeared in my dream one by one and stood still in my room. If I kicked one out, then another one appeared. Each of them looked bizarre, and the way they acted was very creepy. For example, one of them pulled out all my hair until I was bald, then ate it all up. I had to feel the entire pain of being plucked out helplessly. When I woke up the next morning, I couldn't believe that it's real that I still had my hair, even while touching it. The next night, another man dropped a huge watermelon directly on my face from the ceiling height, and I had to face the pain of my nose being broken. He repeated it over and over, and I howled in extreme pain all night long. Another one came and stuck needles into my whole body. My body was stuck with more than 1,000 needles through the night. Every time he stuck it into my body, he clapped his hands with delight. After I woke up from the dream, it was like I was going completely mad. And this was really messing me up. I went to see a psychiatrist, and I said, every night, strange men appear in my dream and torture me like hell. Please help me stop this horrible nightmare. The doctor said, to them, you are the one from a different world. They're playing with you because you're interesting. And he laughed like crazy. I woke up screaming. I barely gathered my senses and found I was in a hospital. I also saw my doctor and mother. However, my mother's face turned into a strange person's face. Then she choked me, yelling out, "Get out! Don't get into another's dream!" Feeling suffocated, I slowly passed out. When I woke up after a while, I was on the bed in my room. I went to the doctor's, but what I was told to do to get better was just to take rest and recharge. I couldn't distinguish between dreams and reality anymore. I got into a huge panic and suffered from insomnia every night. Several weeks had passed, and I was gradually getting used to nightmares. The way those people in my dream acted was always uncanny and creepy. For example, when they saw me suffering in pain, they got very happy. When they saw me screaming, they mimicked my voice and made fun of it in amusement. Like this, the way they acted was bizarre and different from normal people in the ordinary world. So I thought maybe I could fight against them by observing the way people acted. I mean, if they looked unusual, I could quickly realize that it's just a dream. And one day, while walking along the street, I saw a standing woman. I approached her to take a close look. She was as beautiful as a Barbie doll. I said hi to her, but she spat in my face. As her response seemed to be unusual, I guessed this was definitely a dream. As I was in a dream, I decided to try to attract her for fun. "I'll give you whatever you want." Then, I walked into a jewelry store, stole lots of jewelry, and gave it to her. She leaped for joy, and our romance was about to begin. At that moment, however, I heard the police siren blaring. But I didn't care because I thought it was all just a dream. When the police came to me, I threw a punch right in their face. Then they took out their billy clubs and beat me without mercy. Completely knocked down, I blacked out. When I opened my eyes, I found I was in an intensive care unit. After that, I decided I would not act thoughtlessly, even in a dream. And fortunately, I hadn't had the nightmares anymore since then. But something was still weird. People on the street stopped and stared at me, standing perfectly still just like mannequins. And when their gaze met my eyes, they ran away at full speed. Even my family, friends, all the people around me just glared at me in perfect silence at all times. Whenever I called them, they didn't answer. No one responded to me. And every night, mysterious men kept visiting my home. They broke down the door, invaded my place, and tortured me again. One guy covered my body with cement. Another one broke my bones with a hammer. And another one tried to pop my lungs by pumping air through my mouth. Every time, I barely managed to kick them out. But the next day, they barged into my house over and over again. When it happened, I called the police, but they couldn't catch those guys. Sometimes, I went to see a psychiatrist thinking I might have delusional disorder or delirium, but nothing got better. This way, I had 3 terrible years. And one day, I woke up from sleep and saw the warm, bright sunshine coming through the window. At that moment, I finally realized that I had never seen the sunlight for the last 3 years. And with a splitting headache, all the puzzle pieces of my memory fell into place. I just realized that I had lived in my dream world for the past 3 years. I looked at the calendar. I thought 3 years had passed, but in reality, only 1 day had passed. I howled and cried. In the real world, I finally received psychotherapy for quite a long time. Several months had passed, and the doctors said I had gotten much better than before. Fortunately, I haven't had a nightmare since that day. I also haven't gotten into panic anymore. But I am still fearful of getting stuck in the dream world again, and fearful of failing to get out of there for a long time.